Hello everyone, welcome to this video where we will discuss about the MBA entrance exams in India. Now there are 5 major MBA entrance exams and also a few more other exams. So we will discuss about all these exams in detail as we go along. So let us start with the 5 major MBA entrance exams. As we all know, the most important exam undoubtedly is the CAT examination conducted by the IIMs. There are 20 IIMs in India. But apart from the IIMs, a lot of other major institutes in India, very well-known institutes like FMS Delhi, MDI, NITI, the IITs, Jamnalal Bajaj, SP Jain, and a host of other good institutes follow CAT and use CAT as part of their selection process. So if you're looking at the top 30 institutes in India or the top 50 or even the top 100 institutes, then you will find that a majority of the institutes use the CAT exam as part of their selection process. So that is why the CAT examination is the most important exam out of all the exams that we have. Now, if you look at the CAT examination in more detail, it is conducted during the last Sunday of November every year. So if you look at the pattern of the examination in the last 3 years, that is during CAT 2020, 21 and 22, it has been a 2-year exam. Before CAT 2020, that is from 2015 to 2019, CAT used to be a 3-year exam. But if we now look at the pattern of the last 3 years and then discuss that, it has followed a 2-hour pattern where during that particular day when CAT is held, it is held over 3 slots, which means that there is a CAT examination in slot 1, slot 2 and slot 3 where the papers are different. So 3 slots on the CAT examination day and the candidate is allotted slots in random. Now if you look at the spread of the examination across the 2 hours, we are looking at 3 sections. The first section in the sequence in which it appears, the first section is the verbal ability and reading comprehension section. During the last 2 years, that is CAT 2021 and 22, the total number of questions in CAT has been 66 with 24 questions in this particular section, VA and RC, where the majority of the questions, 16 out of the 24, are from reading comprehension. The next section which comes up in the sequence is data interpretation and logical reasoning, and the third section is quantitative ability. Now 20 questions in DILR, which is arguably the toughest section in the CAT examination for the simple reason that the students are more familiar with maths and English, isn't it? We have all learned it in school. If you look at quantitative, it's basically school level maths. Believe me, it is school level maths where we are talking about arithmetic and then geometry. We are talking about some topics in algebra and then modern maths. There is no higher level quantitative questions, no calculus or Laplace transforms or those kind of things. So it is essentially school level maths. So when we look at the first and the third section, the English and the maths, the general feeling is that these are things which can be managed. Whereas when we come to data interpretation and logical reasoning, then that is something that the students are facing for the first time. So there needs to be a bit more of preparation involved there. Of course, preparation is required for all the 3 areas, but then the second section, DILR, is something which students feel it's something new. So arguably that is the toughest of the 3 sections as it is. So there is a sectional time limit, 40 minutes for each of these sections. Now, if you're looking at major institutes, which I mentioned, the ones which I listed down, then they have a sectional cutoff, which means that we need to be above the sectional cutoff and also the overall cutoff to meet the criteria of these institutes and get an interview call. But if you're looking at the institutes at the level of, let us say, 92 percentile and below, if you're looking at IMT Ghaziabad, IMI, and then all the other institutes which fall below that, then we are not looking at a sectional cutoff. We are only looking at overall scores. But then we are limited to a particular section for 40 minutes, which means that obviously we need to try and maximize our score in that particular section. Otherwise, we are wasting our time. So we need to prepare well across the 3 sections. Now, out of the 66 questions, 17 questions in the last exam, that is CAT 2022, were non-MCQ questions, which means that we need to punch in the answer. There are no choices involved. All the others are multiple choice questions. Now, if you look at the marking scheme for CAT, then for the MCQ questions, it is 3 marks for the correct answer and -1 for a wrong answer. Whereas the non-MCQ questions do not have negative marking. And you can go back and forth and pick and choose your questions within the time limit for a particular section. Now we'll go into the CAT examination in much more detail, looking at the type of questions in each section and how to prepare and all that in a separate video. The next most important exam is the XAT, which is conducted by XLRI and also followed by a lot of good institutes like, for example, SP Jain, XIM Bhubaneswar and so on. And it falls on the first Sunday of January. The XAT exam is conducted over 3 hours and it comes in 2 parts. Part 1 is for 175 minutes, and that 175 minutes can be spread across 3 sections, that is verbal and logical ability, decision making and quantitative ability plus data interpretation. These are the 3 sections. You can spread the time across the 3 sections as per your own free will, but then keep in mind that XLRI, XIM Bhubaneswar and SP Jain have sectional cutoffs. There are a lot of institutes under XAT and most of the other institutes do not have sectional cutoffs. So it again depends on the level of institutes that you're targeting based on your preparation. So 175 minutes for part 1, where the marking scheme is 1 mark for a correct answer and 1/4 negative for a wrong answer. Now, between part 1 and part 2, there is a 5 minutes break, and then part 2 is for 30 minutes. Now, part 2 is used only by XLRI. None of the other institutes under XAT use part 2. And XLRI uses part 2 only at the time of the interview, which means that part 2 is not required for getting an interview call from XLRI. Now, part 2 is evaluated at the time of the interview at XLRI, but then again, part 2, which involves general awareness and essay writing, I'm sure does not involve that much of a weightage, going by the experience of a lot of my students earlier who got into XLRI, wherein they did not secure very high marks in general knowledge, but still they managed to get selection. Again, we need to prepare for part 2, particularly the essay part for sure, because that is something which is evaluated very seriously by institutes. When you go to B schools, even the institutes which select through the CAT examination, when you go for the interview, you have an essay writing process. So that way the essay writing is a very important component. So 30 minutes for part 2, wherein for GK alone, you have 1 mark for a correct answer and negative 1/4 for a wrong answer. Now, interestingly, XAT has a penalty of minus 0.1 marks, which is a very small penalty, if the number of unanswered questions are above 8. But then this is something which causes a lot of heartburns among students. People get confused, like, can we now leave questions? If we leave too many questions, are we not missing out in terms of penalty points and all that? But again, weigh the penalty points, which is only minus 0.1 as against minus 0.25 for a wrong answer. We'll talk about that in detail when we talk about XAT examination in another video, and also test taking strategies, which we will again have another video by the time the XAT exam is around the corner. The Indian Institute of Foreign Trade is a top-notch B school, which is an autonomous university, and it is under the Ministry of Commerce, Government of India. They run a very well-known MBA program in international business across 3 campuses in India. Their flagship campus is in Delhi, then the next one is in Calcutta, and they have a new campus in Kakinada. The IIFT exam is a 2-hour examination, which has 4 sections. The 120 minutes can be spread across the 4 sections according to your own free will. Now again, IIFT has sectional cutoff, which means that we need to be judgmental and rational in spreading the time across the sections so that we are above the sectional cutoffs, and also we make the overall cutoff to get a call from IIFT. The 4 sections are verbal ability and reading comprehension. The next one is logical reasoning and data interpretation. Here, the logical reasoning, data interpretation as compared to CAT is more calculation intensive. CAT has a lot of questions which are reasoning based data interpretation, Whereas here, almost all the questions are calculation-based data interpretation questions where you need to be good on your calculations. Quantitative ability, for all the exams that we have in MBA entrance, the syllabus is almost the same, the school level maths. And then we have general awareness. Here, general awareness is extremely crucial because we need to clear the cutoff. So students have to be aware about the current affairs and also about static GK. So together 110 questions spread across the 2 hours in the examination. The next major exam is the NMAT exam, which is conducted by NMIMS, which is again a deemed university. NMIMS conducts MBA programs across 5 campuses in India. The flagship campus is in Mumbai. They have another campus in Navi Mumbai, then also at Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Indore. In addition to NMIMS, there are a few institutes which also follow the NMAT examination, but then all these institutes follow CAT as part of their selection process. So essentially, this exam is all about admission to the NMIMS campuses. Now, there are a few interesting facts about the NMAT examination. The exam is conducted over a 3-month window from mid of October to mid of December, and a student is allowed to take the exam thrice, provided he pays the fees for each of the attempts. And then another interesting fact is that there is no negative marking. So students get enthused. They say that, here is an exam where I can take it thrice and there are no negative marking and all that. But then keep in mind that if you are targeting NMIMS Mumbai, which I said is the flagship institute of NMIMS, then you have to score through your first attempt. Only the scores of the first attempt matters. So you're looking at one good attempt, isn't it? Now, this exam is held over 2 hours, wherein we are talking about 3 sections: logical reasoning, quantitative skills, and verbal ability, that is language skills. And the time limit is specified for each of these sections, and these sections come in order. And another interesting fact is that you cannot skip a question, which means that you have to answer a question and only then the next question will come up on the screen. You cannot go back to a previous question. But then there is no negative marking, isn't it? So again, you need to approach this exam by taking a few mocks and then perfecting your attempts, perfecting your exam management, and then take the NMAT examination. Now, to bring up the list of the 5 major exams, we have the SNAP exam, which is conducted by Symbiosis, and it is for admission to 15 MBA institutes under the Symbiosis bandwagon, out of which the 2 major institutes, the very reputed ones, are SIBM Pune and SEM HRD Pune. Interesting facts about the SNAP examination are that it is a very easy examination and there are no sectional cutoffs. The exam is only for 60 minutes. There are 60 questions. As I said, easiest of all the exams that we have discussed so far. And the 60 minutes you can spread at your own free will across the 3 given sections. That is English. Then another section is quantitative ability plus data interpretation plus data sufficiency. And the third section is analytical and logical reasoning, and no sectional cutoffs, as I said. So it's a very easy examination. But then, when an exam is easy, it is easy for everybody, isn't it? So in any MBA entrance exam, the relative performance matters because ultimately we are looking at the percentile. And so whether it is easy, whether it is difficult, ultimately you need to be better than the others. And in reality, isn't it better to have a tougher examination if you are better prepared? Think about it. Now let us move on to some of the other MBA entrance examinations. The first exam that we're going to discuss is CMAT, which is conducted by AICTE. So here we have the regulator being an examiner. They're conducting this examination, which is in reality a backup exam in the sense that this exam is conducted after all the other 5 major examinations are done. This is usually in the month of March, which means that students who for some reason were not able to perform very well in the 5 major exams, they then look at this as a backup opportunity. There are quite a few good institutes under this particular examination. Another exam that I want to discuss is the TISNET examination. Now, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, as you know, is a premier institution in India. They conduct a range of very well-reputed PG programs, out of which the standout program is the MA in Human Resources Management and Labor Relations. it is an MA program, but it is treated by the industry, by the recruiters as equivalent to an MBA program. So if you're looking at a career in HR, then this is a program for you, because this is a program which is rated very highly and probably second only to the HR program of XLRI. So this exam is usually conducted in February, and it is, as I said, mainly for people who are looking at HR as their career option. The GMAT examination is primarily for admission to management programs abroad, internationally. And over the last few years, both GRE and GMAT, both these exams have been used for admissions abroad. Earlier, GRE used to be for engineering, but now GRE is also used for admissions by management institutes across the world. In India, GMAT is followed by all the institutes which offer a one-year program which is essentially targeted at people with significant amount of work experience. For example, the IIMs, they offer a one-year program which is called PGPX, which is for students with more than 5 years of work ex. Similarly, SPJIN and XLRI also offer one-year programs for people with more than 5 years of work experience. And then we have ISB, which is two campuses, one in Hyderabad and the other one in Gurgaon. They also have a one-year program. They have only a one-year program, in fact, where people with more than 2 years of work ex and then outstanding candidates with less than 1 year of work ex are invited for their one-year program. They also follow GMAT. Now, if you're looking at the 2-year programs in India, then a few institutes, for example, Great Lakes, again, for their 2-year program, they run a 1-year program for people with more than 2 years of work ex, and then for people below 2 years of work ex, they offer a regular 2-year MBA program. So for both the programs, they use GMAT. And then we have institutes like IMT Ghaziabad, TAPME, and a few others who accept the GMAT examination for admission to their 2-year programs. Then we have an exam called MICAT, which is for MICA, which is based in Ahmedabad. MICA is an out-and-out marketing institute. So for students who are interested in a career specifically in marketing, then they can look at MICA, wherein the first round of selection is based on the XAT and CAT scores. So you can take either of these exams and then you get shortlisted for the next round, and next round you have to take the MICAT examination, which again involves a bit of verbal ability and quantitative and data interpretation, logic and all that, and then a test on creativity. So you need to take a few mocks there and prepare on that if you are interested in this particular institute, MICA. Then we come to the MAT examination, which is held by All India Management Association, which is an association of private colleges offering an MBA program in India. This is offered multiple times. It is conducted during September, then December, then February, then again during March, and then I think one more exam is there in June, if I'm not mistaken. So multiple opportunities to take this examination. Not a very important examination if you're looking at institutes in the top 50, because none of the institutes in the top 50 come under the MAT examination. There are a few good institutes under MAT, but then it's not a major examination if you're looking at a top institute in India. Then some states in India also conduct their own examination primarily for admission to their state affiliated colleges offering MBA programs. I need to mention about one such examination, which is the Maharashtra CET exam, primarily because it covers an excellent institute, which is JBIMS, Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies in Mumbai. It's a top-notch institute wherein, keep in mind that 15% of the seats under all the Maharashtra CET institutes are reserved for non-Maharashtra domicile candidates. So if you are from Maharashtra, then take Maharashtra CET for admission to JBIMS. There are a lot of other good colleges also under Maharashtra CET. And if you are from outside Maharashtra, then target JBIMS using 3 examinations. One is CAT, the other one is XAT, and the third one is, of course, the Maharashtra CET, wherein keep in mind that the personnel requirements in CAT and XAT are extremely high. Shortlist can be expected only if it is above 96 percentile. So friends, that was a run through about the major MBA entrance exams in India. So if you are a serious MBA aspirant and very serious about your preparation, then subscribe to this channel, because over the next few months running up to your examination, I'm going to discuss all the exams in detail, every aspect relating to your preparation. That will be discussed in this channel. And then once you go to the next stage, which is the group discussion and interview, we will also discuss that. And then once you have multiple selections with you, then we'll also discuss about B school selection. So be with me in your journey for your CAT preparation. Best wishes.